process, but just high level, how you go about talking to different banks in your network, and maybe, give people more of a sense of the universe of lenders out there, high level too, and kind of how you focus on the top lenders, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure. So super high level, I kind of group banks into three different buckets. So the most conservative bucket, they want to see 1.5 debt service coverage or higher. They want to see 10% down, all coming from cash, from the person signing the personal guarantees, so the operator, buyer, and investors collectively. They don't want to lend, let's call it more than 75% to 80% the total use of funds. And they're also going to likely rule out any industries that touch construction or adjacent to construction or anything related to project-based revenue. So that's kind of the most conservative bucket. The more middle of the road bucket, Dennis, is generally banks that will lend in, let's call it the 1.25 to 1.35 DSCR band, or in that area. They'll go up to about an 85% leverage point maximum, and then they're fine with the buyer having a combination of buyer and or investor cash collectively with seller financing on partial standby, so 2 years of no payments followed by an 8-year amortization, or the full standby for part of the down payment. And then the most aggressive camp of banks, and one thing kept bouncing back to camp number two, is those banks won't roll out those new construction or construction adjacent companies, and they're fine with the project-based revenue as long as their earnings are pretty stabilized over periods of time. The most aggressive camp of banks will go up to 90% leverage. They're fine if the buyer wants to do the cash combination, partial standby seller financing combination for the down payment. And then they're going to underwrite to like 1.15, 1.2 debt coverage. They'll only look back to the prior year, so in this case, 2023, and the current year to date and TTM period. So that's kind of how I tell people to think about banks from like the broader macro 30,000 foot overview.